Hello everyone. This is our second session on Angular. This is the continuous session of Angular session 1. If you are completely new to Angular, just watch my first session on Angular. So in the previous session, we have learned how to create Angular project by using the command prompt. Now in this session, we will open the last created project by using the Visual Studio Code, and we will see some basic folder structures and basics of TypeScript. So what is this Visual Studio Code and why do we require it? IDE tools for Angular development. So if you want to develop any Angular project, we need some tool to write our code, to edit the code, to debug the code, to run the code. We require some IDE tools. It's a development editor. What is this IDE means? It's a development editor. So I prefer to use development editor as Visual Studio Code. Let us install Visual Studio Code and we'll open the previously created project in Visual Studio Code, and we'll try to understand the basic structures of Angular project, and we'll see how to write the TypeScript code.
What is the full form of IDE? Actual full form. It is Integrated Development Environment. So Visual Studio Code is a integrated development environment. We also call, instead of Visual Studio, we can also call it as VS Code. To download the VS Code, you have to go to the path as https code.visualstudio.com. I'll just go to Visual Studio code.visualstudio.com. code.visualstudio.com. Just go to this website. This is a Microsoft website to download the Visual Studio Code. Download for Windows Stable Build. Just click on the download. You will get the exe file. The exe file already it is downloaded in my system. I'll just open that Visual Studio Code setup. Just double click on that. I'll just open. After download, just open the txt file. You will get the license agreement. Just accept the agreement. Just click on next. Click next. No need to worry about all those things. You just click and just install Visual Studio Code. The setup is installing. So once it is installs, just completing the Visual Studio Code setup wizard, just click on finish. So now your Visual Studio Code is ready. So if you see this, the project, it's already loaded. Just if you are not opened any project, just click on the file. So if you are not opened the created project, so you can open by using this file. Go to the file window and just click on open folder. So in the previous session, we have created our Angular project folder. In that, we have created my first project. So inside there are multiple folders it got created. So now the previously created project I am going to open the project which is created by using the command prompt, not from the Visual Studio Code. So just select that folder. Don't select any folders inside that. Just select the main folder, that my first project. Just click on that and just click select folder. Once you click on that select folder, the my first project which is created in the previous session, that is got opened. So this is your Angular project which is we have just opened in the Visual Studio Code. This is an IDE, integrated development environment, this Visual Studio Code which we are using to development of our Angular project. So here to run the commands, you will be having the terminal window. If you are not seeing this terminal, you can go to this option here, terminal, click on the new terminal. It will just open the new terminal for you. So if you see this folder structure, these folders, and there are many files, you no need to touch any files. There are the main folder is source folder. Here you will see the required files to develop your Angular project. These are the files which is created by Angular CLI for you to develop the project. There are many files are there there are many subfolders and folders are there, and we have the node modules, and we also have the source folder. We have package.json file. So this file is having all the required packages and dependencies are written in package.json file. We have the source folder. Inside we have the CSS file. This is to write the styling of your project, the CSS code, and we have the HTML code. We have the test file, that is spec.ts file, and we have the TypeScript file. So in the TS file, we are going to write our TypeScript code. So now we have earlier we have seen how to run the project from the command line command prompt. Now we will see to run the project from the terminal of Visual Studio Code. So our project is pointing to the Angular projects. I'll just see in ng serve. If you type ng serve here, so this script is disabled, it is showing. So once you install this Visual Studio Code, you will not be able to run the any ng command, that is a PowerShell command. So if you are getting this error, the scripts are disabled, then you have to enable that by executing these commands. Set execution policy or remote signed, or it is a restricted. We will see what is the execution policy is there set in our system. Get execution policy. See, if you see this, this is restricted so that you can't execute any PowerShell script or any ng serve or related Angular project commands. You can't execute that. That is for some security purpose. So they have disabled by default. It is disabled due to the security concerns that currently you no need to worry about that. So what I will do, I'll set that execution policy to the remote signed. I'll just execute it remote signed. See, now set execution policy when you are doing the remote send, it is denied that you don't have an access. So why you are getting this error or exception? It is because you have not opened the Visual Studio by administrator. You have always you have to execute open your Visual Studio Code by run as administrator option. I'll just close this. I'll just go to again Visual Studio Code. I'll just click on right click and click on run as administrator. Click on administrator. Now click yes. So now your Visual Studio you have opened with administrator access. So from the admin access. So now I will execute the same command in the terminal window of my Visual Studio Code. I'll just set execution policy remote sign. Now Visual Studio is opened with administrator access. I just click test. See, when I set this set execution policy remote signed, now I just set up remote signed. Now if you see get execution policy, it is remote signed. Now I will execute my Angular command, that is ng serve. Let us see. Yeah, this command is it is not available when running the Angular shell outside the workspace. That means I am not pointing to my project. I am pointing to the other folder. So actually, my what is my project name? That is my first project. I need to point to my first project file. CD space my hyphen first hyphen project. Enter. Now I am typing ng serve. Enter. Taking some time.
So when I do ng serve, your Angular project, it is got compiled and one host is running. Angular live development server is listening on this port, 4200 port. When I just copy this one, http.localhost 4200, I'll go to the browser. I'll just http localhost 4200. So now your development server is running. So you no need to stop your development server whenever if you want to do any changes, you no need to stop your server. So your server is running, development server is running, you no need to stop it. If you want to do any changes, you can directly do it here. So whenever you are doing any changes, automatically your command line interface, that is Angular CLI, it will listen your changes and your changes will appear. Your changes automatically it appears on the browser. Say for example, this is my app component.html file. So if I am editing any file, say let me remove everything. I'll just add some input file type as text, some text. See what I did, some input type is equal to text, value is equal to some text I have given. I have not stopped any my server, development server I have not stopped. The browser, it is automatically detected your changes. It's appeared on the browser. So you just stop your development server once your all the development work is completed. Until unless you are not no need to stop the server. If you stop again, you need to run the uh, development server. So I have updated the text. See, automatically the code is got compiled and you are seeing the changes on the browser. So now we have other file, that is app.component.ts. So if you go through this app.component.ts, what it is there, we are importing the Angular core and we have the selector option. We have the template URL. What is this template URL? Template URL is your HTML file, app.component.html. For this TypeScript, what is the HTML file? For this component, that is app.component.typescript component, for this component file, the attached HTML file is component.html file. So that we are giving as a template URL. And what is this selector? Selector is app root. So if you want to select this HTML in any other HTML file, so you have to give the app root file. So if you see this index.file, okay, so this is your first HTML file. If you go to your browser and right click and if you just click on inspect element, if you just click on inspect element, you will see the only app root you will be seeing. You are not seeing our HTML code. You are seeing app root. What is this app root? Where is this app root file is there? App root file is present. App root node is present in index.html file. So that means this is your starting file. So index.html is your first file, which is loading by default. It is loading on the browser. That is why this app-root in the HTML file, which is there app-root, this app-root you are seeing on the browser. So app-root, this is there. Where is this app-root HTML? So inside this index.html, you are loading app-root. Where is this app-root selector? It is there in app.component.ts. This is the selector. So that means this is the start file. In this start file, we are binding app-root file. This app-root file is this one, app component.typescript file. In this app root selector, in this file, which HTML you are doing, you are rendering the template URL app.component.html. That means you are loading app.component inside index.html. Why you are loading here? Because index.html is your first page. This is your first page. So if you are changing anything in the my first test project is my first test project. If I am writing here Angular test something, this title, your browser title will get changed. Example, this is my first project. If you just observe this, earlier it was only my first project is there. I let me see whether I saved my file or not. Title, whatever the changes I have done, my first project Angular test something, right? So you are seeing the title here, my first project Angular test something. So this whatever you are seeing, some test is there, right? So this controller, it is coming from your app component. That app component you are binding under body of index.html. So this index.html is your first file to execute. So now if you go to your app component.ts, so whatever the changes you are making in the HTML file, that will be appear in the body of your index.html file. So now in the app.component.ts, I have the title. If you want to bind this title in the HTML file, you can bind it in a dynamically, you can just bind. So inside this, you can just add title. You just copy that. So what is this title? This is a variable I have defined inside the app component. How do you use this variable in your HTML file? So this is a variable. So you need to go to the HTML app.component. What is the template URL? App component.html. Go here and open the double braces with double flower brackets and just put title here. Say for example, you are giving any variable which is not there in the in your component file. If for example this title 123 variable is not defined in your component file, so you will be getting an error. The property title 123 does not exist on the type app component. It is clearly shows that the variable is not available. So if I give the proper variable name, the proper variable name is only title. I'll just remove this title 123. I'm giving a title 123. The variable name I'm giving. I'm not giving any value. See my first project. We are displaying that. See my first project, whatever the variable value you have given, so that is appearing here. So dynamically it is appearing. So that means in Angular, it will not, we are not defining anything statically, but we are defining any variable, or our implementation is static and dynamic also. So this title is appearing dynamically. So now I'll just create one more variable one. So I have given a text box here, right? So this text box value, what I will do, I will bind this title here. I'll just remove this value and I will bind it as ng model. Open, this is the syntax. So, so the syntax is the square bracket inside you need to give as ng model, ng model is equal to the, in the double quotes, you need to give it as title. Title. So whatever this title, we are binding it to our HTML element. So our HTML element is text box. For this text box, I am binding my title variable. How you will bind variable, because we are not displaying there. We are binding to our text box. How you are doing that? By using ng model attribute. So ng model attribute, and I am binding this title here. So if I save this, we are getting some error. App.component error occurs template component dot app, this one. What is that error? Let us fix that. So we are binding ng model here and as a title, and we are showing here. But if you see this, we are getting some error, that is ng model. That means it's unable to recognize whatever we have written ng model. It is unable to recognize it. So keep one point in mind. Angular, it is not made up of one component. It is made of multiple components. It is made up of multiple features. It is made up of multiple models, right? So whenever you are implementing any Angular project, if you are, there will be there is a you have to use the multiple models and you have to register the models inside your project. For example, this ng model, it is unable to recognize. So what you have to tell to Angular, I am using this ng model, and you have to tell that you have to register that. So where you have to register it, there is one more TypeScript file, app.module.ts. So in this file, app.module.ts file, you need to import that. So import, what you need to import? You have to import the forms module. So that means that ng model is available inside this forms module. So you are importing forms module from Angular/forms. So this is not only this is enough. So you have to mention whatever you are telling this forms module, you need to import it here as well. So this is a syntax. So this is a TypeScript syntax. This is not related to the Angular project. This is TypeScript syntax you need to follow, and you have to import the required required modules. So here forms module you are using. So when you use this forms module, and just if you import this forms module, so by default Angular command line interface, it is giving the browser module and all. With that you are registering the forms module as well. When you register app.module.ts inside this file, when you register forms module, the error is gone. So now in the app.component, so you are able to use ng model, which is present in forms module. So now if you go to this and if you are changing something here, right? So see, dynamically the changes are appearing in the text here, because how it is appearing, this text is how it is appearing. So you are doing here in the app.component ts file, you are registered title as by default my first project. You are registered the title, one variable, that is a title variable, and you are binding that model to your text box, and same thing you are displaying here by using this double flower brackets, right? So when you do that, whatever the changes you are making in this model, how you are making by using this text box itself, because this ng model title variable is directly coupled or directly binded to this text box. So that is why whatever the changes you are writing, you are making inside this text box, it is by default, it is binding to the title variable, and that title variable we are displaying here. So that is what it is happening here. So when you type this, dynamically the text will appear here, right? So that is what we are doing. So now if you see my slides, what and all we have learned. So Angular session 2. So we have installed this IDE, that is developer environment tool for Angular. There are multiple development tools are available, but we are using the Visual Studio Code. We have installed the Visual Studio Code by going to the code.visualstudio.com. So we have seen the folder structure created by Angular. There will be many files. We no need to touch them. Package.json, all dependencies are registered here. Angular is not a tool which allows you to write static and dynamic code both. Just run the app with ng-serve, dev server will be running. You no need to stop the server until your development work completes. Once you do the changes, just save the file. Changes will appear on the browser. We have also seen the ng model with the title. Angular made up of bunch of features and modules. When you are using any feature, example ng model, we have to tell to Angular by importing with TypeScript syntax. Import forms module. So this is what we have done. The how to import the forms module here. We have seen the syntax. Now coming to the TypeScript. What is this TypeScript? TypeScript is a superset of JavaScript. It is a superset of JavaScript. So it is also type of a JavaScript only, but it is a superset. TypeScript offers more features than the JavaScript. For example, we have seen the classes and interfaces. So if you go to your code, the TypeScript code, that is app.component.ts, you have seen the export class name. We have the class and class name. These are the features of TypeScript which is giving us. So that is why you are able to dynamically bind, and any errors, if you are making any errors at the compilation time itself, it is throwing. For example, we have already seen that, right? So if you are doing this
if app.component.html page, you are doing something, see, you are getting error at the compilation time. So that is the beauty of TypeScript. The TypeScript cannot run on the browser, and TypeScript allows you to write more robust code. TypeScript gives error while writing the code itself. It will not run on the browser. So you may ask a question, if it is not running, if the TypeScript cannot run on the browser, how it is running? So that means internally TypeScript is compiled to the JavaScript. So whatever the TypeScript code you are writing here, that code is internally, it is compiled to the JavaScript, that you no need to worry, that it is taken care by Angular command line interface. That is Angular CLI is take cares your TypeScript code to JavaScript code. So you may ask, when to conversion, it may take some time and we may get the performance, but that we no need to worry. The compilation is very fast, and TypeScript is compiled to JavaScript from the Angular CLI. TypeScript is addition to the JavaScript. It is not complete replacement of the JavaScript. It is just addition of the JavaScript. So these are the basic things we have learned today. So we know how to create the project, and we know how to open the project in the Visual Studio Code and how to run by using the ng-serve, and we have seen how the changes will appear on the HTML file. So we have seen what is this app module.cs, and if you are using any new modules and new libraries, how to register it, that also we have seen by using this forms module, because ng model is present in the forms module. That forms module we are registered in app.module.ts by using the import keyword. So we'll fix this error. We'll just change this HTML code ng model. So I just saved the file. It is compiled successfully. So that's all about this session 2 on Angular. If you have any questions or any feedback or any suggestions you have, just post it your comments in the comment section of YouTube. Thanks, everyone. Thank you.